Sapol ni Jarius Bondoc. Alamin ang kaganapan sa likod ng mga balita. Sapol ni Jarius Bondoc. Makiscoop sa mga puputok na issue. Sapol ni Jarius Bondoc. Mainit na komentaryo, malalimang interview, special report, scoop at tips sa modernang buhay. Sapol ni Jarius Bondoc. At ngayon, narito na ang batikang kolumnista, Journalist of the Year ng Metrobank Foundation, Hall of Fame Journalist and Opinion Writer of the Year ng Rotary Club of Manila, and Golden Dove Awardee, Mr. Jarius Bondoc, kasama si Miss Marisa.
Good morning, Miss Marisa.
Good morning, Jarius. Good morning, mga kaibigan. It's a beautiful rainy Saturday in Metro Manila. At ano yung nababalitaan kong...
Oo nga, ano, Miss Marisa, ito may mga natatawa, mayroon naman nagtataka. Iki-criminalize daw ang ghosting dito sa Pilipinas. Ano ba yung ghosting? Yan ba yung ano, yan ba yung...
House Bill 611, ghosting as emotional abuse. Ano ba yung
emotional
ghosting?
Abuse, o nga. Ang ghosting daw ay yung...
emotional offense daw yun.
Ghosting daw yung nanliligaw ka o nagpapaligaw ka tapos biglang hindi ka na magpaparamdam.
Okay.
Any side, ano, whether yung nililigawan o nanliligaw. O kaya, chiniks mo na o binoyfriend ka na. Binoyfriend mo na. Tapos biglang hindi ka na nagparamdam biglaan. Yun daw ang ghosting.
Oh.
Alam ko, 55 years ago, Miss Marisa, nung pinatat talaga pa ang mga lolo't lola natin. Issue na yan eh. Yung ghosting na yan, pakinggan niyo mga kaibigan, itong awit na ito.
Bagay na bagay nga, no? Sa emotional offense. Ang iyabag ng mga lalaki noon pa man, meron pang, pagka okay na yung buhay mo, I might pass this way again.
kung tapos ka ng tayo yung kangungoy-ngoy, kaiiyak dahil iniwan kita. Kung medyo na naka-move on ka na, baka bisitahin kita uli. Yan ang sinasabi niya, ano?
Happy birthday today kay Dr. Tony Liachon. Sana hindi ka ganon maglaro sa puso nung kabataan mo, Dr. Tony.
Oo, poging-pogi pa naman yan. Pero mabait yan si Dr. Tony. Nakasanla na rin ang puso niyan.
Happy birthday din, Attorney Marnie Canuto. At kay Jose Jaime Policarpio III, JJ, branch head ng BDO Unibank. Happy birthday, Ellen Rivera. At Dr. Maui Bondoc Hermosa, magaling na ophthalmologist at specialist ng orbit oculoplasty. Ka-birthday niya rin si mag-happy birthday in heaven, our good friend, Bonifacio Boy Nakpil. Happy birthday, Sofia Auditor, Sabsi Ongkiko, and kay La Chica Bondoc. Binabati ka kay nila Brian and Ryan. Happy birthday kay Chef Jerry Domingo and Elizabeth Bravo ng Dagupan at Joy Posadas. Sa August 4 naman, happy birthday kay radiologist Dr. Susan Resultan Rosario ng San Carlos City, Pangasinan. And happy birthday, Veronica Velasquez. Happy birthday, Veronica. Happy wedding anniversary kila Dr. Gwen and Jerry Luna ng Dagupan City. And welcome back, Maria Raquel, Mary Joan Cadabona, Kitty Kit, at Justice Gino Lopez ng Perth. Kayla Rita and Paul Kraft. Ayan. Dumadami ng ating mga listeners.
Good morning. Nagparamdam na kagad si Compadre Mon Conde at si Comadre Oji Conde ng Imus, Cavite.
And happy listening kila Jaime and Heidi Chua and Jerry Fang, Vanji and Bestarado. And hello kay Congressman Willie Villarama. Oni Nakpil, good morning, Dr. Edith Navarro, Dr. Tony Sai, Dr. Trina, and Carlo Nasol. Alam niyo mga kaibigan, sila yung mga magagaling na doktor. Kaya binabati ko rin yung mga doktor
sa mata.
Support staff ng Suchi Foundation. Tuloy-tuloy ang pag-treat nila, pag-oopera ng libre sa mga
mga indigents. Oo. Mga karamihan nga ng mga pasyente nila, hindi pa nakakabisita sa doktor sa mata ni minsan. Tapos yung iba, mga seniors na. Naku, grabe, mga problema sa mata. Pero nagagawa na.
Namang i-reverse, kasi kung glaucoma ang problema.
Yun, wala. Incurable kung glaucoma. Pero pwede mong mabawasan yung pressure noon. Pero yung katarata, pwede namang ma-remedyohan yan. Pero yung iba, mga yung macular degeneration na dahil sa, sa tagal ng problema na po. Mahirap yung ganun.
Magandang umaga kay Renato Balagtas at mga senior citizens ng HN Nueva Ecija. Kay Engineer Dante Aquino ng Lingayen, Pangasinan. And Miss Oya Vasquez. Cynthia Tolentino. And happy weekend, Norbert King Cuanto, Tony and Stella Silva, Mari Cabrera, Susan Nahera, Jerry Bato, Godi Bamba, Tina Mendoza, and Rudy and Livy ng Antipolo.
Nakikinig ngayon from Davao del Norte, si former Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez. Good morning po, sir.
At mga taga Bulacan, dyan sa Doña Remedios Trinidad, sila Ben and Lily Martillo. Sa Caloocan, sila Jason and Monique De Leon. At mga suki sa Fairview, Quezon City, Mar and Denny Lee, Andy and Frances Aguila, Ed Nangkil, Queenie Insausti, Yang and Lisa Bonilla. At hello kila Elmer Ngo and Maluyang Bao ng Elm Seafood Paluto dyan sa Calle Bistro, Evergotesco, Quezon City.
Ano ba ibig sabihin, Miss Marisa, pagkasuki mo dyan sa Fairview? Ibig sabihin, bibigyan tayo ng discount pagka may bibili tayo? Suki! Tawad, ha?
Saka siyempre, pipilian ka ng mga the best, unblemished na product, di ba? At saka yung mga regular listeners. Yun yata ang ibig sabihin talaga ng suki, no? Yung mga regular, mga loyal.
Regular,
at yung mga gustong mag-comment, mag-react sa ating pag-uusapan. Marami nating issues as usual na sapol sa ating mga bituka. Mag-text kayo dito sa 0999-376-6768. 0999-376-6768. Or pwede kayo mag-react sa Facebook at YouTube. Puntahan nyo lang ang DWIZ 882 page. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget your name and location.
Mga niline up kasi natin mga topics. Miss Marisa, very, very important. Itong isa, pinag-uusapang baka magkaroon ng artificial, gawa-gawa lang ng tao na shortage sa asukal. Kailangan to sa mga maraming
yan ang dapat
maraming produkto
gawan ng offense. Yan dapat ang gino-ghosting mo yung supplies.
Di ba may mga nagluluto, Miss Marisa, hindi sila naglalagay ng mga kung ano mga MSG, ayaw nila yan, kasi nakatatakot sila, Pero kailangan mapalabas mo kasi yung 6 na panlasa ng tao, di ba? Yung tamis, alat, asim, pait, akla, yung umami. Yun yung pang-6 daw. Ang ginagawa ng iba, pag may may paanghang na, may konting paalat na, may may paasim na, pipitikan ng konting asukal. Yun niluto, di ba? Pipitikan ng konting asukal.
Ano yan? Akala ko ba talagang Pinoy taste lang yung matamis?
Pang umami daw yun, yung 6th.
Okay.
Kailangan mailabas yung flavor. The flavor.
Alright. Hello kila Ronnie and Mike Davidson nga pala sa Melbourne, Australia. Kay Albert Garcia ng Sydney. Ernie and Marian Wong and Arnel Romasanta sa Montreal and Toronto. Anthony Andres ng Cleveland, Ohio. Margie Justice of Orange County. Bert Cruz ng Angeles, Pampanga. At kay Oka Catilo ng Infanta Quezon. Wow, universal.
Nasaan kayo nung lumindol?
Ganon.
Hanggang ngayon, nahihilo pa nga ako. Pero nakakaway, mga tiga-abra. Sila ang direct hit, 7.3 magnitude.
Na pag nangyari daw yun dito sa Metro Manila,
Oo, 1/4 natin dito sa Metro Manila, ano na, giba.
grabe,
1/4
Yung
of our
sabi ni
buildings.
Urban Planner June Palafox. Ay,
Tsaka
takot.
mga eksperto rin nagsasabi noon, experts in itong disaster risk management and risk reduction and management. Sinasabi nila, hindi kasi naasikaso talaga dito yung mga dapat na pagpapagawa ng mga buildings, pag-aayos ng mga gusali, mga lumang bahay, ginagawa dapat earthquake safe, hindi man tapos tsaka ilang taon tayo hindi nagkaroon ng earthquake drills kasi pandemic, kaya kailangan magsanay ulit tayo sa pagkaganitong may lindol. Anong gagawin natin, saan magkikita-kita, paano pag nagkahiwa-hiwalay ang mga pamilya, saan magtatagpo, hahatiin ng Metro Manila sa 4 na bahagi, di ba? At saan magtatagpo yung mga tiga North, halimbawa doon sa may sinasabi sa may bandang mga open spaces, di ba? Halimbawa,
that's the best place kasi, no?
Oo. Open space, halimbawa doon sa La Mesa Dam area, or doon sa, wag naman gumuho yung dam. Pero meron doon sa La Mesa Park, di ba?
Oo.
Yung iba naman sa mga open spaces, mga park.
Golf courses.
Oo, of courses. Tapos sa South, saan nga ba yan? Ako, nakalimutan na. Kailangan i-review tayo ng ating mga expert.
Oo. Kasi after all, baka sira ang trafo, walang mga train, nag-crack ang pavement, hindi makatawid ang mga bus, mga jeep. So baka talagang hiking to your place na pinag-usapan. Kaya huwag niyong isipin na parang business as usual, na normal, na you can easily get to a place. What if bitak-bitak, may mga landslides, hindi talaga makaabante? Kaya pag-invest na rin ng good walking shoes. As usual, have your kits and emergency supplies ready.
Oo, yung sa kanya-kanyang bahay, di ba, meron kang dapat.
Water dyan, water.
Oo, yung isang dampot mo lang.
Oo.
Nandun ang lahat.
Oo. May payong, may raincoat, or any mga tent materials.
Oo. Tapos may flashlight.
Oo.
Delata. Tsaka pagbukas ng delata. Huwag mong kakalimutan.
Oo. And your meds. Kailangan kung meron kang maintenance. Siyempre, huwag mo asahan.
May konting ka ron. Oo. Isama mo na rin doon yung makeup kit mo. Diba? Toiletries mo, pang-ahit, yung mga paborito mo.
Hindi na yung pang-ahit. Hindi yan.
Pang-mumog. Mga ganon, Siyempre, nakakaya naman sa refugee center kung may bad breath ka, di ba?
Grabe naman.
Siyempre, yung paborito mong shorts na may magandang dating, di ba? Yung sexy o kaya attractive na shorts.
Ano ba yan? Nililito mo naman yung aking
May mga bare necessities lang yan, Pero yung titulo ng lupa, lagay mo na rin kung gusto mo.
Actually, talagang dapat nasa safe place. Ganun, or may copies.
Yan, dapat nilalagay siguro sa mga safety deposit boxes. Mga bangko. Yung mga maraming titulo ng lupa. Yan, doon yung paglalagay.
Lungkot dito sa nangyari sa Abra, sa Ilocos. Kasi yung mga heritage sites, na alam natin na yung mga buildings before, hindi naman talaga ginamitan ng bakal. Nasaan ang bakal ng panahon na yun, di ba? Tapos ang kanilang binders, egg white.
Ilan na ba ang fatalities sa ngayon? Kasi kahapon may 4 pang natagpo ang mga bangkay, Kahapon ng hapon.
Oo. 10 ba?
Oo. Sana makuha na rin lahat ng mga iba pang nawawala. Buhay man o patay, Kasi mahirap yung wala kang closure.
That's true.
Speaking of closure, wala nang closure ba itong nangyayari sa Lamitan, Basilan? Na parang naging rito na itong patayan na ito. Una, patayan sa Ateneo de Manila University graduation ng College of Law, dito sa Quezon City, sa Katipunan. Oo.
Grabe,
pinatay ng isang doktor yung kinaasaran niyang politiko ron, diba? Ex-mayor yung babae. Ang asawa niya ngayon ay dating mayor, Tapos, yung anak nila na baril din, na i-graduate sana. Yung babae, oo. Pero ang patay, yung former mayor na babae, Tapos yung kanyang executive assistant, tapos isang security guard sa Ateneo. Nahuli naman itong si Dr. Yumul, Xiao Yumul, pero yung may parang ganti yan, hindi na natin maintindihan. Although, sinasabi ng mga hindi pa nila alam, hindi pa nila tiyak, sabi ng mga pulis, ewan ko ba, sa bagal nila. Pero dapat i-consider nila na maaaring rido na ito. Miski hindi sila mga Moro, tigaron sila
Oo, kaubalian.
Diba? Kristiyano, pero kung gano'n din yung lahi nila, diba?
Papatayan ka ng isang...
pinatay ngayon yung tatay naman ng Dr. Yumol, naghahandalang buksan yung tindahan niya ron sa... At retired na siya. Ating constabulary police,
Apat na putok?
Tama, sa likod lahat.
Dalawang, daw yun
motorsiklo. Sabi, sinisecure na raw siya, pero hindi siya sinisecure ng ganong kaaga.
May time
sinisecure na raw siya ng pulis.
Sabi sa kanya, huwag masyadong maaga. Sabi yata mga 6:30.
Nagsasaw-saw pa ng pandesal yung mga pulis sa kape pagka ganong oras. Kaya, off-duty pa. Off-duty. Gano'n. Parang cool lang sila sa patayan. Ilan pa ang kailangan mamatay para matapos yung issue na yan.
At ngayon, balikan natin ang programang Sapol ni Jarius Bondoc.
Yung party list namin. One hambog. Ngayon pa lang bago mag-rollback. Ngayon pa lang maggagas na kami. Siyempre iba kami. Kami mga maaksaya. Okay. Sinusubukan natin makausap yung isa sa mga niline up natin resource speakers. Kinokontak lang natin. Mahirap ang ngayon. Bakit ba ganyan? Mahirap makontak yung ilang mga resource persons sa atin. Hinahanap natin, mga kaibigan, si National Security Advisor, Dr. Clarita Carlos. Suki natin siya rito. Madalas natin siya na-interview on various issues. Pero merong bumabagabag na issue ngayon sa kanyang opisina. Nais natin siya ma-interview last week pa sana tungkol sa national security concerns natin. Kasi may sinasabi siya na may mas mabigat na issue tayo bukod sa China. Mas mabigat na issue natin, climate change. Although ang sinasabi naman ng mga Pilipino, 89%, halos 90%, 9 out of 10 Filipinos sinasabi, napakalaking issue talaga nitong West Philippine Sea na kailangan natin harapin ito dahil inaagaw na ang ating karagatan at ang ating pagkain ng dayuhan, inaagaw ng China. Sila ang nakakapangisda dyan. Tapos yung ating langis, hindi natin mamina. Oo. Tapos sila ang nagbabantay dyan. Samantalang teritoryo natin yan, bahagi ng ating exclusive economic zone. 200 miles mula sa shores natin, maritime jurisdiction natin. At yung iba dyan, teritoryo natin, yung halimbawa Pag-asa Island or yung Scarborough na inaangkin. Pero bukod doon, meron pa nagiging issue rito sa kanyang opisina. Ito sana, kasi meron lumabas na papeles, anonymous ito Yung usually, itong mga ganito, ayaw nating patulan. Anonymous kasi, pero complain daw ito ng mga tiga-loob, mga tiga National Security Council, yung staff ba ng NSA, ng National Security Advisor. Ayaw natin patulan tong ganito dahil anonymous. Kaya lang, kumakalat itong papeles na ito. At pati ang mga nakakagulat, pati mga embassies ng ibang mga bansa na nandito sa Pilipinas, may kopya nito at sila mismo nagiging nako-concern at sila mismo ang lumalapit sa mga kaibigan nila sa media para itanong, ano ito nagaganap dito? Halimbawa, isa raw dito sa nais ipasok ni National Security Advisor Dr. Clarita Carlos ay may kakaibang background na masyado raw malapit China. No? Ano, na-contact ba natin finally?
Yes. We have this morning National Security Advisor, Secretary Clarissa Carlos.
Good morning, ma'am. Hello, good morning, ma'am.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you for your time, ma'am. Last week pa tayo nagsusubukan magkakontakan. Mahirap lang talaga ang communication wherever you are. We want to discuss with you, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, we are lucky, Seth.
Yeah, thank you. We wanted to discuss with you your securities trust, ma'am, to begin with. Can we discuss that first? You were quoted twice already sa newspapers. Bihira naman kayo ma-quote. Pero nababanggit nyo na napakalaking threat compared to China ang climate change. Can you please clarify po ito? Ano bang ibig sabihin po nito?
Well, the context of that is, ang dami kasing, several contexts, Jarius,
Yes.
Kasi hindi ba Russia wants to exercise and train with our AFP? That is why they are seeking a status of forces agreement with us, no? Several years na ngayon. Also, other countries, no? Vietnam, Japan, etc. And I said, why not? Kasi 7 years na akong senior consultant ng Visiting Forces Commission. After all, kako, yung Balikatan, yung Cobra Gold, etc., all these exercises with the Americans are now taking a different tone, no? Hindi na siya dati, Jarius, yung you exercise together to fight together in the future. Ngayon, the enemy is climate change. So you're talking about really battling and confronting all the consequences of climate change. HADR na no? Hindi na yung dati-rating, military, focused kind of training and exercises. Yun ang context niya.
Mm-hmm. So ano dapat na nagiging shape itong mga alliances na ito, military alliances, if you will get into a common battle, common war against climate change, ma'am?
Usually kasi ang planning period niyan, for most parts, is minimum 1 year. So, some of them na wala tayong status of forces agreement o BFA, we just tell them that observe lang kayo, unarmed yung inyong military, and if we can get already a regional framework, a legal framework for these kinds of regional exercises, kasi hindi bilateral na ngayon multilateral na yung exercises na yan, then you continue to be observers until such time that the Philippines decides to give you a status of forces agreement.
What do you mean, ma'am? Paano po yun? Can you expound on this, please?
Ang status of forces agreement is really how will your troops conduct themselves here in the Philippines? Limbawa, yung Amerikano nakasagasa sa whatever they are exercising, ano yung kanyang criminal liability as a soldier, an American soldier, exercising under the Balikatan or whatever, sama-sama, etc. Kasi yan, my team, headed by me, was one of those who really drew up the IRR ng BFA na, alam mo, Jarius, ng BFA 1999, dapat within 60 days, meron na siyang IRR. Pero remember, 1999, natapos lang namin to, 2013 lang namin natapos. Isipin mo yung time nag-lap. Kanya, natandaan mo sino ba to, yung American soldier na guwapo na inaccused ng abusing, raping a woman in Olongapo? Hindi ba, kinuha siya ng Amerikano, inilagay sa isang container van sa loob ng embassy. Bakit? Kasi yung concept ng adequate jail facilities dun sa BFA, hindi spelled out. Nakikita mo yan ngayon sa IRR. Kaya natalo tayo nun Kasi ang Amerikano nag-define ng ano yung adequate jail facilities.
For the simple reason that we did not have the IRR at that time.
Yes, because we did not have the IRR. Nito lang namin nagawa yun
Bakit po inaabot ng ganyang katagal ang mga IRR? Ano po ang nagiging rason? Considering that these are very, very important issues and concerns at mga batas.
Jarius, ayoko mag-finger point. Siguro hindi nila nakita yung urgency na kailangan may nitty-gritty yung BFA agreement. Kasi broadly conceived yun Bawat word doon are concepts which need to be operationalized. Sometimes you think the word is already self-explanatory. It is not. And this is where you have a problem. we interpret it one way, the Americans interpret it another way. Diba?
Yun nga po ang nangyayari. Well, even it is internally, ma-digress lang ng konti, ma'am. Even our election automation law of 2008, hanggang ngayon, wala pa akong IRR ito. At nakakailang eleksyon na tayo. And kaya ito po ang nagiging rason kung bakit taon-taon pinagtutudahan. Tapos, sige na lang, pinagkikibit-balikat na lang na, sige na nga, tanggapin na natin itong resulta nitong automated election natin ito, miski duda tayo, na hindi totoong halal itong mga opisyalis na ito. Palibasa, walang IRR.
Tama ka, Jarius. In fact, winatch ko yan na masugid, no? Kasi importante sa akin, and I think Amy Marcos was in the forefront of that. I salute her. Kasi gusto niya talagang mahimay, nitty-gritty itong election procedure, no? The process and the procedures concomitant to the process. Kasi importante yan. As you said, when you have an election contest, babalikan, tutukuran mo yan eh. But I think parang walang nangyari yan, naabutan ng election na hindi nagkaroon ng conclusion yung committee na yan. Yeah.
At hindi tinatanggap yung pagkapanalo ng isang kandidato, hati yung bayan na yan, whether national or local, di po ba? That's a problem. Pero balik po tayo dito sa...
Jarius, actually, pag inisip mo lahat ng ito, dahil ako siyempre, lulun na ako sa government consulting with government agencies. Talagang malulunod ka. Kaya you just have to do it step by step, Visiting Forces Commission muna, mamaya NBI, mamaya Office of Transport Security. Isa-isahin mo lang yan, Jarius, pero, isipin mo, isa lang ako, tsaka yung team ko, no? Yeah.
Sakop niyo po lahat itong mga concerns na to. That's basically what you're saying, ma'am.
Yeah, it should be, kailangan ma-address, Jarius, tama ka, whether with any doubt, may contest, diba? Hanggang hindi mo pinaplansya yan, may contest. There will be a continuing contest.
Sakop niyo rin po yung issue ng food security somehow, although ito po ibinibigay po to sa sa Department of Agriculture, and we have the President acting as the Secretary of Agriculture himself. Pero meron pong aspect of food security na nandito po sa issue naman ng West Philippine Sea. China is basically controlling the West Philippine Sea at hindi po mapangisdaan ang maraming lugar nito. Halimbawa yung loob mismo ng Scarborough Shoal na dineklara naman ng Permanent Court of Arbitration na ito ay traditional fishing ground ng mga iba-ibang bansa, ng China, Vietnam, at Pilipinas. At ito ay nasa jurisdiction ng Pilipinas dahil nasa loob ng exclusive economic zone natin. No? Pero yung mga iba pa, yung mga bahura natin na siyempre nasa maritime jurisdiction natin, hindi rin mapangistaan dahil pinapatrolya ng mga Chinese Coast Guard at mga kanilang mga militia, mga armadong mga fisheries militia nila.
Yes, tama ka dyan, Jarius, na nakakawin yung West Philippine Sea sa food security kasi tungkol yan sa isda. Natandaan mo, nag-declare sila ng unilateral fish holiday. And so we said, I'm sure the President also took note of that when Wang Yi was here, the foreign minister, no? Hindi ko naman alam na pag-usapan nila, but, having talked to the President, I'm sure he took that up. And yun nga, so we try to, the strategy of the President is really continuing constructive and critical engagement with China. We just keep on talking, and I had shared with Wang Yi that I and one researcher are writing a book on regional fishing agreement, Jarius. Alam mo, maganda yung regional fishing agreement because it will provide the legal framework for who should fish, when to declare a holiday, and involving all the actors, no? Hindi pwedeng sila nang magde-declare tapos pati yung ating mangingisda ay napasama na sa holiday nila, no? Sabihin mo man lang na maganda yung kanilang goal na i-restocking of yung fish, no? Para mag-rest magpahinga yung mga isda para lumaki. Still, isama nila tayo sa usapan dahil dinabaan naman nila yung buong South China Sea. So, siguro continued talaga conversation with China is the name of the game, Jarius. Kasi, this is our neighbor, a superpower, an emerging hegemon, and it must abide by international law, diba?
Yun po yung sinasabi niyo, mga regional fishing agreements. Ano? Meron po yan, may mga existing yan sa ibang bahagi ng mundo. Pero pagdating po, di ba, sa halimbawa, nagkaroon tayo ng Southeast Asian Regional Fishing Agreement, ang enforcement niyan ay sa kanya-kanyang exclusive economic zone. Hindi pwede pong dayuhan ang mag-enforce niyan sa exclusive economic zone ng Pilipinas. Kaya hindi pwedeng silang magpapatakbo, halimbawa, ang China, ng, halimbawa, ng fishing agreement concerning the Scarborough Shoal or Panatag Shoal, di po ba?
Yes, tama ka. Actually, 2 chapters pa lang ang isusulat ko dyan, Jarius, pero isa yan sa mga tatalakayin kong issues, no? Kasi tinitignan ko pinapag-aralan ko lahat ng fishing agreements, bilateral or multilateral, all over the world, para makadesign tayo ng unique sa atin, no? Kaya miski yung sinasabi mong yan hindi pwedeng saklawan niya yung exclusive economic zone, dapat saklawan niya yun kasi ang daming overlaps, maraming rival claims. Yun nga ang tututukan niya And I call it the low politics area of engagement. Kasi high politics about territory and sovereignty na, we'll just all be dead and we can't even resolve that. I-resolve muna natin tungkol sa isda, yung low politics area.
Pero pagdating po sa China, may mga overlaps po ang exclusive economic zone ng Pilipinas with Malaysia, with
Vietnam,
Brunei,
yeah.
po.
Vietnam.
And Vietnam, po. Pero wala po tayong overlap with China.
Meron. Kasi tignan mo yung footprint yung 9-dash line, na which was the subject of the arbitral award, na sinabi ng arbitral award, walang tinutukuran yung 9-dash line. It did not award anything. It simply declared na walang tinutukuran yung kanilang 1948 9-dash line claim. That was the only thing that was established in our favor. And kanina lang umaga, nabasa ko si Ricky Manalo, continued to use that as a legal leg for whatever discussions or conversations we have with China. And just as well.
So, ibig sabihin, hindi natin pwede tanggapin yung 9-dash line because, kumbaga, claim lang yan ng isang bansa pero hindi po itinatanggap sa international law at meron ng arbitration ruling po. Di po ba?
Yes, precisely my point. Except that China claims na unang-una, hindi siya nag-participate sa arbitral tribunal and therefore sinasabi niya. But ganun nga, Jarius, you know what international law is. It's got to be backed up by force, no? And so we continue to do that because the alternative is, you know what the alternative is. It's not acceptable. Diba?
Pero yun ang big power politics po Hindi siya sisipot dun sa arbitration tapos igigit niya pa rin yung gusto niya mangyari. Kasalanan niya na hindi siya nag-participate to begin with, di ba?
Yes. By the way, all of us are signatories to the UNCLOS. Amerika lang naman hindi
So, anyway, puntahan muna natin po itong yung nagiging sigalot tungkol doon sa staffing niyo po na ginagawa sa National Security Council Secretariat, and this is basically your immediate staff. Meron po kasi yung kumakalat na papeles, and ang rito ay tigaloob daw ang mga sumulat nito kasi may mga basic complaints po rito tungkol sa mga pag-alis ng sasakyan o yung mga yung mga shuttle buses ng mga empleyado na ginawa po ng isang deputy ninyo. Pero ang mas concerning po rito ay yung tungkol doon sa 3 po na nabanggit dito. Nais po sana namin siya makakuhaan ng panig. Appointed na po pa siya na Deputy Director General nito, si Banlawi. Romel Banlawi po.
Yeah, actually, nakita ko din yung sulat na yan. I think it was brought to my attention 2 days ago. Kasi parang nasa dyaryo siya, something Although hindi ko nabasa sa dyaryo. One of my staff informed me na, ma'am, nasa dyaryo ito. But eventually, tinrace ko, kasi parang, yung sa dyaryo parang is a snippet of a letter or a report, no? And kinalkal ko kung ano yung pinanggalingan. It's a letter by NSC employees lang. And lahat yan, Jarius, walang basihan yan yung sinasabi nilang. In fact, nag-memo ko dun sa nagsabi na in-stop ang shuttle. On the contrary, ako nga yung hinahanap ko kung sinong tao ang nagkalat ng balita na walang shuttle. Kasi yung shuttle, 6 yan na dinatingan ko. Merong pumunta sa Malabon, sa Fairview, sa kung saan-saan. 6 points in Metro Manila to ferry all the 203 employees to their homes, no? And talagang kung sino man yung matalino na yan, na nagkalat ng balita na walang shuttle, it's really, alam mo, Jarius, second week pa nga lang namin, merong isa dyan na nagsulat ng 4-page memo dun sa hinirang ko na na officer ko to head research. And these 4 people whom I heard, they were all my students 30, 20, 15 years ago. And they're not just somebody na nagtitinda ng maruya dyan sa daan. Hinila ko. These are people who are top-notch researchers and swimming in security and defense issues. Yun ang naging criteria ko for getting them. Now, if they have issues about it, no? Ba't hindi nila tinake up sa akin? Pinatawag ko sila sa opisina ko. Ako, Jarius, ako. Kung nasa NDCP ako, I don't know if you've heard. Utter transparency is the name of the game. Pati yung budget ko, lahat every month nakikita nila naglalakad yung pera namin. Nakikita nila lahat ng items na vacant, no? Kung bakit hindi ko pinifill up kasi puro clerk ang kailangan kong items, Professor. Here also sa MSC, dineclare ko. Jarius, and I don't know if other people are doing that. Yung ating budget, yung items which are vacant, lahat makikita nyo. Nothing will be sub rosa. Because that's the way I work. That's the kind of person I am. So, ililiin ko to, Jarius, no? Kasi, as you said, there are 3 ba or 4 people involved in
actually, side issue na lang po sa tingin ko kasi, Professor Carlos, Dr. Carlos, yung sa shuttle, po. I would like to discuss with you, basically, yung background po nung tatlo doon sa ina-appoint nyo po. Yung isa kasi yung sinasabi, si Sir Romel Banlawi ay sinasabi, 4-time president po siya ng Philippine Association of Chinese Studies at nag-aral daw po sa Jinan University. At ang sinasabi yung Jinan University na yan, sa Guangzhou, yan po ay eskwelahan para mag-produce ng mga espiya ang China. Yun po ang nakakapag-alala po rito. Tapos mayroon pong mga sinasabi na na-declare po siyang persona non grata sa Department of National Defense noon pa pong panahon ni Secretary Volz Gasmin at natuloy po yan nung panahon ni Secretary Delphine Lorenzana dahil po sa pagpapasa po ng mga dokumentong nakukuha niya po dito dahil kung saan daw po siya ay nagtrabaho panandalian. At meron pa rin pong investigation daw na pinagawa yung one of your predecessors, yun pong nung panahon po ni President Noynoy Aquino, si National Security Advisor Cesar Garcia, minemohan po yung NICA director noon po. I'll get the name later. Dahil po sa leakage po ng mga dokumento at ibinigay daw po sa China itong mga documents na ito.
Yeah, I'm listening to you. The only thing I can comment on is something that I know of, and that is his PhD sa Jinan. Alam mo yung kasi they tried to involve me there as an external examiner nung dinedefend niya yun. That was one of the scholarships, thousands of scholarships offered by China. No? And yun ang tawag doon, Jarius, research PhD, which means you don't do academics anymore. You go in there, defend your proposal, you do your research here in the Philippines, kasi parang RP-China relations yung kanyang dissertation. You go back there to defend it. Ganon yun That's the nature of the, So, Jean, I have not heard anything. That time that the university tried to invite me as an external examiner during his defense na hindi naman natuloy for reasons not known to me. I don't know that particular university, as alleged, is producing spies, for God's sake. Paano naman mapuproduce niyan? Wala nga academics yung tao, yung estudyante. Nagpunta lang doon to defend, then nag-undertake ng research dito, and then nagpunta na naman doon to defend the dissertation. Now, about the other allegations, I would like Professor Banlawi to be able to, every citizen for that matter, not because I appointed him, to be given a chance to defend himself. Yung mga allegations na sinabi mo, persona non grata, etc. like that. I hope Professor Banlawi will respond to that in the proper forum. Yeah.
Yun nga. Actually, I invited him to be our resource person din po rito. Kaya lang, he replied that he has been told to maintain radio silence. Ang ibig sabihin po, I get that to mean na pinagsabihan po siya. Hindi ko alam kung kayo o somebody else na wag muna siya magsalita in public. Yun po ang Pero kasi sa kanya kung mismo gusto mapuhay itong panig.
In the interest of prudence, if you were also the head of the agency, you will also do what I have done, which means hanggang hindi ko naiintindihan ang sitwasyon, ayoko magsalita. No? Ganun talaga ako. I mean, noon pa ganyan ako. No? When the president, I remember sometime in June, was briefed about the NTF-LCAC and he invited me there. Then he asked me, Dr. Carlos, what do you think? Sabi ko, Mr. President, I don't know. I have not been briefed yet on the NTF-LCAC and I'll get back to you with my comments. I don't know what's happening there except what I read on Facebook, which are hardly reliable. So, mismo si Presidente, sinagot ko ng ganyan, Jarius, kasi ayokong dumapa sa something na hindi ko naiintindihan, let alone make a comment, di ba?
There are two other points, doon sa itong pong sulat, ng mga tiga National Security Council, mga employees, Another person mentioned there is Mariel nga ba, Castañeda.
Mariel Castañeda. Yeah.
Opo, ang sinasabi po rito ay ang asawa niya ay kadre daw po ng Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army, National Democratic Front.
Naku, Jarius, ako yata nung nabasa ko yung part ng sulat na yan, napasigaw ako. Kasi ninang ako niyan dalawa na yan eh. Kasi si Mariel, estudyante ko eh. At itong husband niya is UP Los Baños naman yan, no? So siguro kung napaka-serious naman na allegation niya, na-claim yan, Jarius. So siguro dapat ma-clear ni Mariel. Mariel is a very, very young scholar like Romel, no? And I think both these scholars should not be prevented from clearing their names, no?
Opo, yeah, dapat nga lang eh. And I'm glad you're speaking out for them. Ma'am, and then meron po na isa pa, no? Itong si David Nye. I think he is the same David Nye who used to be a newscaster po, dito sa Pilipinas. At sinasabi po, siya ay senior editor ng Global Times. And Global Times is the English language edition of the People's Daily, which is the official organ, the daily organ of the Chinese Communist Party.
But, Jarius, kasi bata ka pa. Si David kasi ang tagal-tagal na sa ating broadcast industry. No? Bata pa nga yan. I remember ini-interview na niya ako before he went to China. But David is a seasoned communicator. In fact, he is not among hindi siya yung top-level policy making involved there. Siya yung head ng aking communications division. No? Okay. So, yung communications division, yung parang spokesperson, etc. If I need a spokesperson. And I took him in hindi ko siya kilala as person. Of course, I knew him as a broadcaster. Ang tagal na niya sa atin dito, nagpalit-palit ng channels. And I took him in because of his wide experience, and not only that, because he had lived in China, knew the nuance of the language, which is so important to me as a national security advisor. Di ba? Now, if they have any issues about him, then, andyan naman just give him due process. No, tapunin ninyo kung ano ang inyong accusation sa kanya. Let that person or the persons in the letter defend themselves. Di ba, Jarius? Huwag naman yung,
Yes, ma'am. Have you checked with Mr. David Nye yung connection niya kung totoo sa global
nalubak ang kanilang profession, di ba?
Ma'am, sorry, you were saying something, sorry, nasapawan ko kayo.
Yeah, sabi ko, yung mga nag-a-accuse dyan sa X number of people in the letter, these are young scholars, si Mariel, si Romel, no? And cannot remember now kung sino pa yan ang nabanggit sa letter. Please allow them due process. We are still in a liberal democratic framework. I believe we always assume that one is innocent until proven otherwise. Hindi niyo pwede pong sirain ang kanilang katauhan. Mga young scholars po yan. At ulitin ko yung sinabi ko kay Jarius kanina, hindi ko po yan pinulot sa daan nagtitinda ng maruya. These were my former students soaked in the issues of defense and security. Kanya ko sila hinila, no, dito to help me as a national security advisor. Kasi Jarius, wala akong portfolio eh. My direct principal is the President of the Republic. That is the reason why I am conducting a research seminar so that everybody is on the same page in regard to how to generate valid, reliable, and verifiable data. Kasi yan ang papasok sa memo ko sa President. Di ba?
So, na-check niyo po ba yung kay Mr. David Knight tungkol doon sa connections niya sa Global Times? If it's true or not?
It is in his CV. It's not anything sub rosa. It's not anything secret.
So, ano po, ang sinabi niya?
I met the editor of Global Times and they had the journalist here. Yes, I met the editor of the Global Times. It's not anything secret. I'm not a stupid person, to just hire somebody from out of the blue. There are reasons for my action. Magbigay naman sila ng konting alagwa dyan, Magbigay lang sila ng konting alagwa. Sabi ko nga sa iyo, second week pa nga lang namin, di ko pa nga naiintindihan yung opisina namin eh. Gana lang nila kaming si Newtown,
Sorry ma'am, I didn't get you. Sorry, Ang sinabi po, tinanong po ninyo si Mr. David Nye at ano po ang sinagot niya?
Yes, he's a senior editor. Nakalagay yan sa CV niya eh. It's not anything na Si David kasi hindi ko pa siya na kasi itong sulat lumabas nung parang kahapon ata Jarius yung sulat. Remember nag-earthquake nung Wednesday? And alam mo yung aming building doon sa co-located kasi kami sa Nika building yun eh, dahil ginagawa pa yung building ng NSC. Marami ng trucks nung dumating kami. In fact, nung nag-inspect ako, Jarius, sabi ko, bakit ang dami-dami ditong andumi? Parang yung, alam mo yung epoxy, hindi pa pag naapakan mo, marumi. No? Sabi niya, ma'am, kasi yan nung earthquake ng 2019, nag-crack-crack yan. Lalo ako natakot kasi remember nung Wednesday, andun ako Jarius sa taas eh. Ang lakas-lakas talaga. Ang lakas-lakas and I had to go down 9 staircases down to the bottom, to the ground. So I declared a work from home. So papasok pa lang kami sa Monday kasi yung mga structural engineers need to give them the green light na ma'am, pwede na kayong bumalik sa 8th and 9th floor ng Nika building.
So, going back to Global Times, kasi nagugulat ako sa tenor ng lengguwahe po nitong Global Times, while yung nagsasalita yung Chinese Foreign Ministry sa Beijing na may pagkamalumanay, yun po ang estilo talaga ng mga diplomats, itong Global Times, which is a Communist Party newspaper of China, English language. Ito kung tawagin yung mga opisyalis natin kung ano-ano at kulang na lang sabihin, bombahin na natin itong Maynila. Ganon po sila magsalita eh. Lalo na noong 2012, 2013, 2014. At
I'm not privy
po
to
yung ruling ng
Bureau
Permanent
in
Court
China,
of Arbitration in July 2016.
Yeah.
Involved po si Mr. David Nye doon sa ganong mga lengguwahe ng Chinese Communist Party against the Philippines and our government.
Yeah, but siguro as far as I can understand, Jarius, yung meaning ng senior editorial assistant ba yun, senior editor ng Global Times. I think the editor has nothing to do with the content, but has something to do with forma, whatever criteria they're using. But yes, as I said, it is not anything that was hidden, that was secret. It is one of the lines in David Knight's CV. So, to repeat, if they have any issue about David Knight, file the requisite case in the proper forum and let it proceed. We don't gain anything by writing anonymous letters, sending them to the office of the president, giving them to broadsheets, and whichever broadsheet will. It doesn't work that way. Alam mo, Jarius, sobrang daming task na binigay sa akin si President. Every cabinet meeting meron, And I need to work. And ito nga, Sabado at Linggo ngayon, pagtawag mo ngayon, ito isang talaksan ng dokumento nasa kama ko, Dahil dito ako nagbabasa. Wala na sa aking, walang weekend. Kasi nagho-homework ako nitong all my reports and things that I...
talaga pagka. But ma'am, ko lang po, I'll just put in context yung binanggit niyo po tungkol sa editor. Kasi in the Philippines po, a book editor or a newspaper editor or an editor in broadcast, And I am sure di ganito rin po sa Amerika kasi na-observe ko po yung mga kaibigan ko po mga journalist doon. Ang editor po may pakialam po sila sa content. In fact, ine-check nila kung minsan yung content, pina-fact check nila, ganyan. At ine-question ko minsan yung writer na sigurado ka ba rito, i-expound natin ito, delikado tayo rito, yung mga ganon. So may pakialam po talaga ang editor sa content, ma'am. At any rate, may I ask?
Siguro, interjection lang dyan, Jarius. Kasi sa amin, let's say, ako, I haven't had an edit any of the...
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Napuputol, sayang. Napuputol-putol tayo. Ma'am?
Jarius, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
okay na. Opo.
Ang editor kasi sa academic writing, hindi nangingialam sa content. Absolutely. No? Nangingialam lang siya sa semicolon, phrasing, etc. Hindi siya mangingialam sa content. But yes, if they continue to accuse, link David Knight to whatever sinister or malicious things they have in mind, find the necessary, suit the action in the relevant agencies. Para namang to be fair to him and the others who were mentioned in the letter, in the anonymous letter.
May I know, ma'am? May we know? Nagkaroon po ba ng vetting? Ang mga staff po ba sa National Security Council? Kasi ito, ang pagkakaintindi ko po, lahat po ng mga intelligence reports, mga analysis, obligado po na ibigay sa inyo, sa opisina nyo. At doon sa staff ninyo, ito pinoprocess para mas maintindihan, nagsasama-sama, para makabuo rin kayo ng sarili nyong analysis at strategies. Yung mga kasamahan nyo po ba rito, sila po ba ay na-vet, na background check po ba sila ng isang agency like the NICA, yung National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, or other intelligence units, pati counterintelligence? Dumadaan po ba ang staff ng National Security Advisor, yung mga tao nyo sa council? Yan
din ang tinanong ko sa NICA, and I think parang part yan ng kanilang operating procedures. Not that I saw it in process, Kasi when I brought them in, I immediately wrote to the President as we were directed by Vic Rodriguez. Kasi siyempre hindi ko pa alam yung format niyan. Write a letter to the President, write your nominees. Lahat kami gumagawa niyan. Si Benhar, lahat ng mga secretaries. Tapos lagyan nyo ng support kung bakit ninyo hinihirang ito. As USEX or whatever level, up to the level of the Director 4 ata. Isushoot mo yan sa level ng President and they will do another vetting. Yun naman sinasabi mong gawa ng NICA, I think they may have done that without my knowledge, because as far as I know, they should really be checking on everybody, including me, Jarius, and do the adequate security check. Kasi yan mga dumadating na mga reports sa akin, marked secret, restricted, etc. like that. Usually hindi yan nagdadaan sa ibang tao. Diretso yan sa opisina ko. And kung may doubt ako tungkol sa data na nandun, I will go back to the source. Kasi makikita mo naman yung source dun sa And then I'll tell, kamukha ng sinabi mo, tanungin mo, particularly kung may number, Jarius, sabihin ko, saan mo kinuha tong numero na to? Because yan ay mapapaloob sa memo ko sa Presidente. And I have to defend that number. I'm a very, very careful scholar myself and will not just shoot a memo to the President na hindi ko madedefend. Yeah, there is that integrity of papers, especially sensitive papers, that would just be given to me directly as the NSA. As a matter of fact, Jarius, as I continue to, parang pang fourth week na namin ngayon, ang NSA pala walang deputy, parang VNSA na lang siya, parang a one-person office. Yung National Security Council, kanya pala dalawa pala yung title ko. Noong una, nagtataka ko ba't dalawa ang title ko. Ang title ko pala isa, Director General ng National Security Council.
Kasi yung National Security Council Secretary at ng National Security Council proper. Yes. Po yung yung pong NICA, yung National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, sa ilalim po ba ito ng NSA under you or separate agency or supervisory under you?
Okay, kinalkal ko din yan, Jarius, kasi hindi ko pa naiintindihan ng relationship ko sa NICA, sa ISAP, and other intel na siya nagbibigay sa akin ng mga datos, no?
Opo.
The verb is supervising. The verb is supervising. In fact, nung nagkaroon ng change of command, ako yung nag-preside. Ako yung nag-preside nung from sino ba yung dati to Rick De Leon. I was the one who presided in the change of command.
I see. Ma'am, going to LCAC, pasensya na kayo, napapahaba ito, pero...
Yeah, go ahead. Para lang ma-clarify, no? O para hindi nila ako pangunahan.
Yung pong tungkol sa LCAC, itutuloy po ito. Ito pong group na ito, itong to end the communist insurgency, Ito yung parang multi-agency po, at babudgetan pa rin po ba ito ng billions of pesos, kasi nabanggit niyo rin po kasi na hindi kayo pabor doon sa nangyayaring red tagging, at ito po ang naging takbo ng ilang miyembro po ng LCAC under the previous administration, ma'am.
Yeah, kasi Jarius, hindi ba yung red tagging is not something that suddenly appeared in our faces now. Several years ago pa yan, di ba? Hindi pa nga ako NSA. And as a political scientist, sinabi ko na that labeling does not work. Kasi sa amin, if you start to label Jarius, that means you have run out of cogent arguments. Wala na So babatuhin mo lang, Jarius, ikaw socialista ka komunista ka, etc. Because I have run out of arguments, no? So sabi ko, bakit sabihin mo na lang si Jarius criminal, murderer, etc. Itapon mo sa kanya yung penal code. Kasi, and then, anuhan mo siya, file a case against him. Sabi ko, just labeling him XYZ, does that prosper? I mean, is that productive? That was my point. And that was my point several years ago when this term red tagging came about. And I continue to be consistent. So nung natatanong ako sa mga interviews ko, nung hindi pa ako nag-take ng oath of office, Jarius, hindi pa ako nag-designate, I consistently said what I had said several years ago, that labeling people is not productive. Tapunin mo, mo na lang siya. Sabihin mo na, mag-file ka na lang ng case kung meron kang hard evidence na criminal siya. Di ba? Kasi sabihin mo na si Tony Lavinia ay member ng Communist Party. Ano ngayon? Ano yung susunod dyan? No?
I agree with you, ma'am.
Member ba is a violation of our laws? Ganun dapat may susunod. Kung walang susunod, nagsasayang ka lang ng laway. Yun lang ang point ko But you know how it is, Jarius, no? You've interviewed me many, many times and some others have. Just hindi nga ako nagsasalita dyan Meron na silang minanufacture na sinabi ko. Mabuti na lang tinanong mo yung question na yan. Yeah.
I agree. I fully agree with you, ma'am. Kasi since the 1970s, as a newspaper editor, even back then, magazine editor and writer po, I always caution my colleagues and my subordinates na tanggalin nyo nga itong terminong leftist or rightist na to. Hindi ko gusto ito mga terminong to kasi ibig sabihin ito, sino-shortcut nyo. Ba't hindi nyo nalang i-explain kung ano yung paniniwala nila? Pag hindi nyo ma-explain, tapos sasabihin nyo lang na leftist or rightist, yun na judgment call nyo. Ibig sabihin, kulang kayo sa kaalaman. Tapos sinasabihan ko rin yung mga kasamahan ko noon, mga subordinates ko na, ano ito, may nahuling Muslim pickpocket sa Quiapo. Bakit pagka Katoliko ito, hindi nyo sinasabing Catholic pickpocket, di ba? Ginaganon ko sila noon Tanggalin nyo nga ito kasi naiirita ako sa label na ito. Parang pinalalabas nyo, Muslim ang magdanakaw, ang Kristiyano hindi, biktima. Parang ganun Pero, di ba, it gets to that absurd pong situation. But going back, ma'am, to the LCAC, ma'am.
Jarius, excellent. I salute you. We're on the same page on that. Excellent.
Ma'am, thank you
Excellent interpretation.
Pero ma'am, yung sa LCAC, kasi recently nagsalita rin po yung armed forces at sinabi nilang ang dami na po palang nagiba na mga guerrilla fronts ang CPP, NPA, NDF, from 89 ba yun, something, ngayon nasa mahigit 100 na lang. Tapos yung ang ranks po ng mga communist insurgents nasa less than 2,000 po ngayon do you think kailangan po ng ganito pa na LCAC na para tapusin ito o pwede po bang ipaubaya na ito sa mga development agencies like DSWD or tapos yung OPAP, yung Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process, para buhusan po itong mga nalalabing komunidad kung saan may mga NPA sympathizers ng development at ng siguraduhin ang hustisya sa kanila, ipadala ang mga tao. Kung takot po ang mga barangay chairman at mga mayor pumunta ron, magpadala po ng mga malalakas ng loob na tatanggapin ng mga tao rin doon, whether police o sundalo or na marunong din po magkaroon ng maglapat po ng hustisya para maipasok na sila uli sa so-called normal society at para maharap na rin po once and for all ng bansa natin yung mga other external threats like yung sa West Philippine Sea or sa East Philippine Sea sa Philippine or Benham Rise. Tsaka yung pong sinasabi nyo na climate change, kasi talagang actually sobra na yung disaster problems natin sa Pilipinas. Para maharap na natin ito once and for all, hindi ba po pwede pong tapusin na talaga ito pero hindi na military action, kundi ipaabot na sa kanila ang kaunlaran at hustisya.
Yeah, actually, Jarius, you have designed really all points. Hit mo lahat ng bases, no? That is exactly what the NTF-LCAC is, which is proposed in an EO 70. Lahat yan, ang ginagawa nila is to really embed all the things that they are doing as ad hoc. Ad hoc sila That's another layer. To involve all the 21 departments down to the level of the barangay, the first contact of everyone. Kanya nga yung Barangay Development Fund, sa barangay binibigay, hindi yan sa taas binibigay, sa barangay binibigay, on the level of the barangay. Na ito, eventually, the NTF-LCAC will now give these departments, itong mga talagang traditional departments, itong additional work na dapat talaga mandato nila. Parang nire-raise lang namin ang consciousness nila na ito yung part ng confronting the continuing insurgencies na tama ka sa numbers mo, less than 2,000 na lang ngayon, at talagang ang dami-dami ng cleared barangays. So we just need to continue the work of the NTF-LCAC until such time na ready na yung mga traditional departments to take on the job, no? And yet, Jarius ang lumabas? Si Carlos sinabi, i-discontinue daw yung NTF-LCAC. Sabi ko, where in the world did you get that? Parang, wow, nakakayamot na kayo. Saan nyo namang kinuha yan? At saan, kalkalin nyo nga lahat ng interviews ko and find out wherever I said that, no? And Jarius, siguro, FYI lang, it took me 3 very comprehensive briefing for me to understand the strategic, the operational, and the tactical aspect of the NTF-LCAC. Masyado siyang, what is the term? Comprehensive, complicated ang kanyang structure kasi whole of government Nandiyan si President sa itaas, ako yung Vice Chair. No, siyempre, pag wala si President, ako practically ang Chair niyan. And there is an Executive Director. And the Executive Director has just been appointed. Yung dating Commandant ng Marine, si Manny Salamat. So talagang, kanya lang, may COVID pa si Manny. Kanya, hindi namin talaga all systems go to. But even in the absence of Manny, araw-araw nag-uusap kami sa Zoom. So yes, please, no, for those of you detractors, bantayan nyo na lang po kami at huwag yung hinihintay nyo lang na magkamali kami for every error, no. Nag-uumpisa pa lang po kami, no. We're continuing the program that Duterte started. And ano bang issue nyo ho na tungkol dito? I already said it has to continue until such time that all the other departments have embedded this in their mandate.
So, yung nga lang po, nagkaroon kasi ng mga akusasyon at saka may mga commission and audit reports about misspending, itong programang ito. So, pero under your tenure po, would you still ask for the same budgets as before or greatly reduced considering na 2,000 lang ang pinag-uusapan dito? Tsaka kumbaga nasa home stretch na lang, may mga departamento na lang na hinahabol pa. Ang ihahabol yung kanilang mga mga programa rito. Halimbawa, kung may yung sa housing, for instance, or pagbibigay ng hanap buhay or training sa vocational and technical skills, yung mga ganun po.
Yeah, actually, Jarius, nagkaroon na ng reconfiguration yung budget niyan, ano? As explained to me, yung farm to market na dati naka-embed dyan sa kanila, sa NTF-LCAC, binigay na, in-embed na sa DA. Kasi Department of Agriculture, magkakaroon ng overlap kasi. So, okay, binigay na sa kanila yan, that part of the yung budget dati ng LCAC. Ngayon, actually, hindi, natandaan mo last year ata, yung 20 million, binaba sa 4, di ba? Dinicrease ng Congress sa 4 million per barangay. And that one, kanya the reason why, pag nakita niyo yung President's budget na ipipresent sa Congress ata in 2 weeks time, August 22 or 21 or thereabouts, ay makikita mo merong increase in budget dun sa barangay development fund. Kasi yun yung mga inalisan ng 16 million each dahil nag-reduce from 20 to 4. So magkakaroon pa ng hike kasi para lang mapunuan yung inalis ng Congress last year. So that is how you can see how robust the NTF-LCAC is, and there is no reason for anyone, not anyone, to make a declaration and a false claim they are discontinuing anything.
Okay. Last two topics, pasensya na, talagang napapahaba ito. Lulubusin ko na kasi last week pa kayo sa na-interview. Ma'am, tungkol po sa yung ating mga kaalyado, may mga military allies, may mga military, man tayo, mga hindi ka-coalition, hindi man wala man formal alliance, may ka-coalition. How would you view ngayon, halimbawa yung mga mga joint military exercises, joint patrols po sa West Philippine Sea or even in the East Philippine Sea, Benham Rise?
I think they're all very, very useful, Jarius. And I think while the President might not have articulated them in detail in regard to this, I think he had the general guidance that we shall continue with this because ganun talaga ang tono niya sa sa foreign engagement with foreign actors, which is continued critical and constructive engagement with any country for that matter, not that China, but Russia, India, etc. No? Talagang yung balancing na makikita mo between, di ba minsan, you have a sense na pinapagpili tayo between China and US. The President does not think that. No? Alam niyang kailangan niyang delicate balancing between our interests, siyempre, first and foremost yun, ang consideration natin, and how China's interests can in fact converge with ours, and the same with the US. No? And I like that. I think it's a very, very how do you call it, pragmatic way of foreign policy. That is the essence of independence. That na hindi tayo nakakawin with any kite, no? That we no longer are the tail of we are no longer the tail of anybody's kite for that matter. And I like the direction that the President has taken in regard to it.
Tsaka yung mga joint patrols naman, they're not necessarily for defense or anti-invasion deterrence, but they can somehow take the nature of anti-criminality. Halimbawa po yung yung mga akyat barko dun sa maritime piracy, drug interdiction, yung mga ganyan. They are civilian in nature, and yet what it does, Jarius, from the point of view of me as a political scientist, ang ganda niya yung mga tinatawag na low politics area because it engenders trust, confidence, cordiality, friendship. So that if it spills over into more sensitive areas, nagtanim ka na ng magandang samahan. Kaya akala mo lang, simple lang yung mga RIMPAC, mga maritime security, mga measures for maritime piracy. Magandang din yan sa atin kasi usually after the exercises, my military friends are telling me, yung mga ginamit nilang equipment, Jarius, dinodonate nila sa atin. And that's also very important kasi nakakadagdag din sa mga binibili natin bago for our modernization.
That's right.
So, going to that, yung sa modernization, you are involved in this military modernization, although this is basically the realm of the Department of National Defense. You are also advising the President on this, ma'am?
Yes. Alam mo, ang una kong ni-research, Jarius, yung mga verbs connected with the NSA. Ang dami niyang verbs. Actually, nakatapa siya sa lahat ng department. Halimbawa mo sa Department of Transport. Mimitin ko sino ba sa Transport? Si Jimmy Bautista. Sabi ko na to sa kanya. Nag-meet kami sa cabinet. Sabi ko, Jimmy, pupunta ako sa iyo. Sabi ko, pag nagkaalagwa ako sa oras ko, pupunta ako sa iyo kasi yung transport security is very, very important kasi ang mga wini-weaponize, yung naglalagay ng bomba sa tren, sa buses, di ba? So, gusto ko lang ma-heighten yung kanilang, not to intrude into their jurisdiction, ma-heighten lang yung security component ng kanilang main mandate. And I will do that for all departments, no?
Oo nga, tama. Thank you very much, ma'am. At maganda, napakarami po nating na-tackle na ng mga topics ngayon. Ang dami niyo pong naiklaro mga issue.
Ang haba na nga eh.
Huwag kayo madadala ha. In the future, makikipagkwentuhan po namin kami uli sa inyo, ma'am.
Oo, Jarius, kasi nahiya na ako sa iyo. Parang 3 Sabado na natin pinaplano to. Hindi matuloy-tuloy.
Buti alam niyo, tampuhin po ako, ma'am.
And then, Jarius, salamat naman because binigyan mo ako ng pagkakataon na siguro humingi ng tulong sa kababayan natin. Huwag po tayong magpanghusga kasi tulad nyo din, tao din po ako, may limitasyon din yung aking pag-iisip, bagamat ako ay isang guro. Talaga pong iniintindi ko lahat ng nangyayari sa opisina ko at ang mga inuutos ni Presidente. So tulungan nyo na lang po ako kasi yung pagbabatikos nyo naman araw-araw parang wala naman hong saysay-yan at hindi makatarungan.
Thank you very much po. God bless and mabuhay kayo dyan sa National Security Council.
Mabuhay ka, Jarius. Salamat.
National Security Advisor Clarita Carlos.
At ngayon, balikan natin ang programang Sapol ni Jarius Bondoc.
Balik tayo sa Sapol.
And it's 9:22. Napahaba
yung interview natin kanina. Pero meron tayong isang napaka-importanting issue po mag-uusapan, mga kaibigan. Tungkol dito sa revival ng Reserve Officer Training Corps o ROTC. Ito, ang ROTC, mga kaibigan, ay isang programa noon sa mga first year and second year college na kung yung mga inabot ito nung before inabolish ito, before ginawang optional noong 2002, lahat ng mga estudyante sa kolehiyo noon, first year, second year, na lalaki, kailangan sumasama rito sa paghahanda sa pagiging officer ng sandatahang lakas o ng armed forces. Nasa lumang konstitusyon, nasa bagong konstitusyon din kasi ito, na kailangan ay maaring tayong tawagan, bawat mamamayan, baliwala kung anong edad, baliwala kung anong gender, siyempre adult dapat, baliwala kung senior ka or ka-18 mo pa lang.
What do you mean?
Baliwala kung babae lalaki, baliwala kung able-bodied ka or PWD ka. Everybody should be able to render personal, military, and civil service bilang pagsiservisyo sa bansa. Hindi naman lumpo ka, wala kang silbi sa lipunan, Miss Marisa.
Sa UP nga naalala ko may mga classmates akong mahaba ang buhok, which was, di ba, unusual para sa mga lalaki na mahaba ang buhok. Dahil first and second year, dapat nga naka-RO ka. At ano ba yung tawag doon? Yung white side wall?
Crew cut.
Oh, okay. Tapos sasabihin mo, teka, bakit wala kang RO? Ay, excuse ako. Bakit? Flat-footed. Parang loko ka, ha? Ang dali-dali yata magsabi na flat-footed ka.
Anyway, ngayon nire-revive ito, At may mga issues din sa pag-revive nito. It will not be that simple this time. Kasi noong 2003 may pinasukan ang Pilipinas noong 2002 tinanggal na yung pagiging compulsory, ginawang optional ang ROTC, nagkaroon ng national service training program, ginawang optional ang ROTC kung gusto niyo lang o hindi. Tapos may mga alternatives ito. Ano nga ba yung alternatives? Cooking o ano? Hindi naman yata.
Siguro mga rural service. Rural
service. Alamin na lang natin, buti pa sa isang eksperto. Pero noong 2003 may pinasukan tayong international agreement. At so hindi basta-basta maibabalik ang ROTC sa grades 11 and 12. Grades 11 and 12.
Yun ba yung UN
kasi yun ang sinabi ni Presidente
on the involvement of children in armed conflict?
Oo. At,
Hindi pwedeng minor.
Kasi yun ang sinasabi ni Presidente Duterte at saka ni Presidente Marcos Jr. at Vice President Duterte na ibabalik daw ito sa grades 11 and 12. Hindi ganun kasimple ito. Maaring ma-sanction tayo ng United Nations at maaring maging tawaging illegal yan because ang international agreements na pinapasukan natin become, according to our Constitution then, sa Article 2, Declaration of Principles, they become part of the law of the land. No? Magpapaliwanag tayo, maghihingi natin ng kwento. Ano?
Kasi I think, dapat naman ibalik na ang RO. Masyado nang softy ang mga kalalakihan nating kabataan.
Pero may mga nagke-question din dito kung bakit daw ibabalik yung ROTC under this government.
Okay,
no? By the way, background din 69% of Filipinos surveyed very recently. Pabor, 69%.
Nagbalik.
Oo, bali 7 sa bawat 10. Ibalik ang ROTC.
Sino kaya yung mga na-survey na yan? Siguro mga middle age. So,
siguro matatanda na, gustong madisiplina yung mga bata.
At hindi na sila ang dadaan doon. Makakapanayam natin ngayong umaga. Let's welcome the University of the Philippines Vanguard Inc. National Commandant Guido Alfredo Delgado. Good morning.
Good morning, Marisa. Good morning, Jarius.
Thank you for your time. Guido, parang gusto kong sumaludo ha.
Sir, yes, sir. Reporting for duty po kami, sir, sa inyo.
Pag nasa
okay, shoulder straight, stomach in, chin in, eyes forward. Yan ang dapat posture ng kabataan natin ngayon. At
hindi nakatungo sa mga cellphones nila na nagte-text.
Tanuin muna natin, para saan ang ROTC? Kayo mga mga members ng Vanguard Incorporated, ang tawag nga sa inyo ng mga nasa diliman mga Vanguard fraternity, nag-advance ROTC pa kayo? Ha? Samantalang karamihan ng mga estudyante noon, ayaw nga mag-ROTC, ayaw nila mag-gordamit, ayaw nilang mag-fall-in, mapamarcha sa init.
Isa pa, may naalala pa ako, Guido, singit ako. Kasi pag palabas ka ng UP on a weekend, may on a bus, sasakay ang isang military police ba yun? Yung nakaputing helmet?
Ay, ini-inspection sila kung may tumataka sa ROTC.
So, titignan ko sila yung naka-white sidewall,
Oo.
Pumabalikin.
So, ano ba ang importansya nitong pagbabalik ng ROTC, whether in the old form or in any new form, Guido?
Well, Darius, Marisa, it's a constitutional duty. No? It's a duty for every citizen, able-bodied citizen in this country, or to render military and civil service to the nation. No?
Okay.
Now, you cannot do that unless you're trained. I mean, it's a criminal for you to serve either in the military or in the civil service if you are not trained. That's the reason why ROTC or its equivalent, yung pinupush natin ngayon, yung Citizen Service Act, is very important. You need to be trained to be able to serve. That's the basic and fundamental reason why we should bring it back as a mandatory citizen service.
Training, basically training. Hindi for nationalism, patriotism, yung ganyan. Kasi ang pagkakaintindi ko dito kasi yung patriotism, nationalism, tinuturo yan mula po kinder pag ini-introduce na tayo sa Philippine history, culture, at pati pag-awit pa lang natin ng pambansang awit nung bata tayo, pati palatang makabayan, ganun eh.
In fact, it even starts in the family. Diba, sa pamilya pa lang ako, I was being taught by my late father how great the Philippines is, how we served during the war, and so it starts with the family, and it starts with preschool, kindergarten. I was even pointed out by some of my Japanese friends that these things are taught in Japan at a very, very early age. Kasi, so by the time you reach your teens, that's already you're already imbued with that patriotic spirit.
Developed na yan. No?
Developed na yan. So,
ngayon,
while it will enhance, it's not the main purpose. The main purpose really is to train, to be ready.
Yun, oo. So, develop na yung pagmamahal mo sa bayan, ngayon ihahanda ka para magsilbi sa bayan.
That's correct.
That's correct. So, okay. Pero may complications ito pagka ibabalik sa grades 11 and 12.
Ay,
which
maraming complications sa Jarius. No?
which used to be first and second year college.
Kaya mga 16, 17 years old yan.
Yeah, that is what they originally. That is what people see on the surface. What we don't realize is that the entry into the educational system, the age was also lowered to 6 years old. So by the time you reach grade 11 and 12, although in theory that was the first and second year college, in terms of age, many of them would have not reached 18. And as you pointed out earlier, we signed an international treaty in 2003 that prohibits the Philippines from recruiting children into any form of military service. No? So that is the reason why. That's one major reason why we should do it grade 11 and 12.
Mga menor de edad ngayon, 16 and 17, hindi na pwedeng ma-recruit sa ganitong reserve officer training. Kasi basically, reserve officer, ibig sabihin, miyembro ka ng sandatahang lakas ng Armed Forces, Army.
Yeah.
Oo. At tinutuligsa rin ng gobyerno natin yung pag-recruit ng mga kabataan para maging new people sa Army Rebels, di ba? O kaya mga nare-recruit sa MILF, MNLF, di ba?
Yeah. So that's one major reason. And I heard some people defending that by saying, well, let's just wait until they reach 18. Which makes the logic totally throws the logic out of the window, because you might as well train kindergarten kids and then wait for them to be 18 years old before you recruit them to the military. So that logic doesn't hold water. So you're either 18 or above once you are recruited into the reserve force. So that's one major reason.
Nakikinig ang pamunuan kasi ang nababanggit nga kasi ng dalawang pinakamatatas na opisyales ng ating bansa ay grades 11 and 12. Nakikinig pa sila na legally this may be untenable dahil mababangga natin yung isang international agreement na bahagi na ng batas din natin.
Well, I don't know, because we have not talked to them at all. In fact, we have not really talked to any government official. Suffice it to say, though, that in the 18th Congress, at the House of Representatives, the substitute bill, which was supposed to go to the plenary and then go to the Senate, already was for college, no? First and second year college, and it was called the Citizen Service Act. So that is the final bill. No, that's called the substitute bill. That was in the 18th Congress. So I think eventually this misconception about joining the military before you're 18 will be resolved in the House of Representatives in Congress in general, because that international treaty perspective will be brought out. But that's not the only reason why we should not put it in grades 11 and 12. The second is really budget-wise. No? I mean, you're talking about 50 billion a year. According to last year's hearings, we were told that the budget would reach about 50 billion a year, where it's really very, very expensive. And whereas if you go to college, it's less than half that. Though. So the cost of training is better. You have a bigger bang for the buck if you do it at the college level. No? And then third is really personnel for training. Now, you would probably need 1/4 of the armed forces of the Philippines to have the commandants, the tactical officers, etc. So all advantages, all points point to the fact that it's really better to have it in college rather than grade 11.
50 billion, Guido, 50 billion a year?
Ang budget?
Pesos, ang budget para
mag-train?
Para mag-train ng kabataan?
Yes, because you have 12 million kids or 15 million kids, and then you need...
we're talking of Kasi para sa akin, Guido, halos wala nang kaibahan yung except sa edad, grades 11 and 12, na hindi nga pwede dahil 16 and 17 years old pa lang sila, labag sa batas ng mundo na ipasok sila sa militar, so kailangan yung edad 18 and 19, so first and second year college. Halos pareho na rin yan kasi libre na ang kolehiyo ngayon at marami na nagkukolehiyo, dumadami ng padami.
Yeah, well, that's another point. Although then you tend to capture more and more as the years go by because of what you just stated.
Pero,
but then in terms of budget,
a year pala?
50 billion. Yan ang report.
Bakit ganun kalaki?
Pa-uniform, hindi naman.
Hindi, kanya-kanyang gasto sa uniform ito, di ba?
I think that's one, but you have to have additional personnel, more offices. I don't know the details of how they reached that. There was a number called like 40, 50 billion, but I think it really refers more to the facilities and the additional hires that they would have to make.
Okay.
For purposes of training the kids at grades 11 and 12.
Ngayon, tama ba yung pagkakaintindi ko, Guido, na pagka nag-training na, halimbawa na hurdle ng gobyerno natin at wag nilang ipilit na yung grades 11 and 12 dahil sabit yan, kumbaga ipapalpak lang nila yung pag-revive ng ROTC, nasa constitution naman natin na kailangan talaga ito, So, pagpalagay natin na nandito na ito sa first and second year college, ano ba ang ituturo sa mga kadete? Kasi 2 dekada na itong nawawala, since 2002, 2022 na ngayon. Marami mga kabataan ang hindi na dumaan dito, Marami siguro, mga kuya na lang nila, tatay nila, lolo nila ang nakakaalala nito.
Well, I think there's nothing much we can do with the past. But moving forward, our recommendation is to actually revise the curriculum. Remember, ROTC was purely under the DND and therefore purely for territorial defense. Okay. So territorial defense means defending the territory of the Philippines. So, however, not only have the military tactics of the last 20 years changed, with technology and with new tactics coming in. So we need to revise that territorial defense for one. Okay, that's one. However, we have seen that in the past decades, we also have problems with disasters. But just very recently, Yolanda, where even the military wasn't, they did not have enough resources to address this disaster. So the second area for training is in disaster management. So and third is really peace and order, where our youth can be called to help the police and the local governments in addressing peace and order issues. So those are the 3 main areas that we think should be put into the mandatory citizen service.
So basically, external defense, tapos peace and order duties, tsaka disaster duties.
Disaster, yes.
Bali 3. Okay?
Yes, 3. Remember, in the past typhoons that we had, even my children volunteered to do, a relief work. But it was really with, a lot of prayers that they would know what to do. Yet they were never trained to do disaster relief work, And yet we threw them into that, into the jungle, so to speak, and without any training. That is the reason why we need training in disaster and relief work.
How to keep themselves safe too, di ba?
Yes, of course. Otherwise, they become liabilities themselves, right? So, kaya itong 3 areas na to. And, there will be new subject areas like cybersecurity. For example, now in Ukraine, it's not only a military or arms war. There's also a lot of cyber warfare, And that is one area where I think the Philippines can excel, I understand that among the best hackers in the world are Filipino hackers, So we can put them into good use. Yeah. So marami. And then a more important component is to take it out of the responsibilities of the AFP, no? Because the AFP already has enough problems to address themselves, no? And so so our recommendation is to put it in the commissions where the accountability will be very clear. So this commission's task is only one, to train the youth, to train the citizens undergoing the citizen service training. So
in the three fields, no?
The three fields.
External
Malinaw and accountability.
Internal peace and order, tsaka disaster risk reduction and management.
And the territorial defense. So those are the three areas.
Territorial defense. Yung una. Oo nga. I'm glad you're mentioning this, kasi naaalala ko yung ROTC of old, which was basically purely military training, and yet yung mga kadete, pag eleksyon, yung mga estudyante, pag eleksyon, dinadala sila kung saan-saan para for peace and order duty. Tinatanong ko nga anong gagawin doon? Anong gagawin? Magdadala tayo ng mga rifle natin, naka-helmet tayo, naka-uniforme, tapos uupo tayo sa labas ng presinto, ngayon, tapos maghihintay tayo ng pagkain i-deliver sa atin, ganun lang. Tapos as you said, nagkaroon ng may mga malakihang baha noon, isinasabak ang ROTC, hindi naman alam ang gagawin. Di ba? Bibigyan ng pala, mga ganon. Tapos, anong gagawin? Baha. Anong papalahin mo sa baha? Di ba?
That's right.
Siguro dapat doon yung bibigyan ka ng pala para mag-repair na ng mga kalye na nasira. Ganon
So, really, as you're really mentioning, those are not military chores, right? These are not military tasks. Because really, it deals with the peace and order and disaster. So we really need to train ourselves in those areas, in those fields. And it's not just territorial defense. So you're right. I remember going to polls at the time when we were in college, and really we were just told make sure there's peace and order. But how to do it was a totally different story. So yeah. So hopefully, if they adopt the previous citizen service substitute bill of the 18th Congress, then I think it will augur well for this administration. I think they just need to be highlighted and pointed out that these are the drawbacks of the grades 11 and 12.
Point out ko lang, Guido, mga ilang concerns lang, kasi nung may ROTC pa, iniiwasan ito kasi ayaw ng mga estudyanteng gordamit, mainitan, mabibilad sa araw, pagmamartsahin. How can military training be made enjoyable and not loathsome or hateful? Paano magagawa ito, Although alam natin na military training, mabigat talaga ito, It entails discipline and that marching, yung ang training naman kaya pinagmamarcha para synchronization ng mga kilos ang itinuturo rito Tsaka bilis sa pag-intindi at pagtanggap at pagsunod sa order ng officer, di ba? Which are important para kung nasa battlefield ka hindi ka tatanga-tanga, hindi ka hilo kumbaga, There are really some rigorous parts of this. But how do you make it enjoyable for the youth para hindi tinatakasan, ibagkus ini-enjoy pa?
Well, I think training by itself, by the very definition of the word training, requires sacrifice, requires either physical or mental pain. In fact, when you go to the gym and you try to, lift weights, that's painful, but it's really towards a loftier goal, right? So I think it's a pedagogy na yan ng mga commandants kung paano nilang gawing enjoyable. But I think we have to remember that hard training, real hard training, may be enjoyable for some, but it's not easy for many mortals like us. But if we bear in mind that it's a constitutional duty to serve, therefore it's a constitutional duty to be trained to serve. So I think, if it becomes enjoyable, that's fine. but I think we should remember that it is a duty to be a Filipino citizen. And so if we are to to love our country, love, as you know, in the general sense of the word, entails sacrifice, understanding the feelings of other people. So giving up personal pleasure for the good of many. So I think to sugarcoat it by saying the training will be enjoyable, we may be doing a disservice to the country in general.
Pero naisip ko kasi yung mga estilong halimbawa, na imbis na, kasi naalala ko nga noon, ang basic training sa kadete ay magpaputok ng garand. Pero nung panahon yun, hindi na ginagamit din ang garand sa gera.
Yeah, well, it's again, look at it from that, looking at it from that perspective. If we are to obtain modern weapons, it's cheaper to find modern weapons for 2 million trainees than for 12 million trainees, right? So that's one. Second, something that we are doing now in UP Los Baños, we've really limited to the bare minimum of the military training, but we are tapping on the expertise of the UPLB in, for example, biology, in cyber, because UP Los Baños now has an IT department. So we're tapping on the colleges kung saan tayo malakas sa UP Los Baños, forestry, agriculture, to put them into the subjects ROTC sa UP Los Baños. So we're doing that under the current laws. So, but if we have this new CSA, Citizen Service Act, it would even be more productive. So that at the end of the ROTC training, you don't only have territorial defense skills, but you have skills in IT, you have skills in engineering, you have skills in agriculture.
Jungle survival, map reading, yung mga ganun. Yun nga yung sinasabi ko eh. Kasi karamihan na-assign sa ROTC, sa infantry. Naku, inggit na inggit yung mga riflemen doon sa mga na-assign sa battery o artillery. Ang sinasabi, ba't sila nakakapagpaputok ng kanyon? Kami ng mga pak-pak-pak lang noon.
Tapos ngayon, may bago pang military technology, drone warfare, di ba? So that's
exactly. Tapos yung nga, yun, dito nga naisip ko nga, yung drone warfare, and we're talking here of aerial as well as mga mga water drones, pandagat o panilog, panglawa. Matatap natin dito yung galing din ng kabataan sa mga ganitong teknolohiya. Yung skills nila sa marunong silang magpalipad ng drone either as a toy or even only using their dati yung mga gadgets lang nila, nakakapagpalipad sila. Pero ngayon, actual drones, magagamit nila for, halimbawa, mag-i-espiya dun sa mga war games. O kaya, pag-aaralan yung isang palayan, paano mong makiklear naman ng mga daga yung palayan using drones, di ba? Matuturuan ngayon yung kabataan through this program.
Yeah, so it's really, looking back 20 years ago, the world has really changed so much, right? So, so you can't bring back ROTC in its old form. It will look like a relic in the world today. I mean, the world today has changed even just 2.5 years ago before the pandemic. So, for people to just say, let's restore ROTC in its old form, we're doing a disservice to this country. Wala na yun. Hindi na relevant yun. So
para tayo nag-reenact lang ng labanan sa Balintawak noon.
Exactly.
Diba? Samantalang may mga gadgets na ngayon.
Yung Spurs and Bolos.
Hindi, samantalang ngayon, halimbawa, may cellphone ka. Personal cellphone mo, magagamit mo. Halimbawa, may war games kayo, ng ROTC. Iba-ibang batalyon kayo. Yung mga cellphone nyo, magagamit nyo, halimbawa, pang-espiya sa kalaban. Yung kalabang batalyon, yung mga ganon. O gawan nyo sila kailangan makura natin kung nasaan yung hepe nila para makapture natin agad nang wala ng banatan. Yung mga ganon
Or even in your field, Jarius, weaponizing news. I mean, this whole field of fake news is in fact, I think, become an industry and requires
Correct.
training to get how do you spread fake news, no?
Yeah.
So the world has really changed. So
Correct.
I think it really requires deep thinking in with the government to see how we bring back mandatory citizen service. That is relevant today
Yun.
in the next.
Palagay ko,
There's an input here from a listener, si RG Chell. Sana po kapag may ROTC or CAT po, wala na pong hazing po.
Ayun, oo. Isang issue yan.
I think. I think that has always been, illegal even before, right? So I think abuses. I think one of the reasons why we think that we should have a more focused commission or a more focused organization, so that these trainers, trainees, cadets, and cadet officers can be watched more closely by an independent commission. And not under the Department of National Defense.
Sorry, kinakapos tayo ng oras. We may need another interview with you, Guido, tungkol dito.
Sure.
Pasingit lang ng isang tanong, please. May mga nagsasabi na kaya raw gustong i-revive itong ROTC, gagawin daw itong Hitler Youth. Parang gagawin daw na parang mga fanatic na mga brainwashed youngsters para suportahan ang administrasyon. Ano masasabi mo ron?
I think the Constitution mandates citizen service, and it goes beyond any political party or any administration. I think when a disaster hits, you don't think of the administration or this party or that party. Disaster hits the Filipino must respond. So I think that's a baseless accusation. Well, you can always say that, but at the end of the day, you have to look at what is the product of the training. The product of the training is citizen service in territorial defense, in disaster management, in peace and order. Now, if those three, being trained in those three, you call Hitler's Youth, I don't know. I don't even want to begin to define what Hitler Youth means. So I think people should be very careful in throwing out words that they don't understand or even mean.
In the future, Guido, can we discuss also naman yung training na required of every citizen, not only of first and second year college? Maybe that will be as that topic.
Yes,
kasi kailangan, yun nasa constitution natin, hindi naman sinabing first and second year college lang or 18 and 19 years old lang, kundi all citizens.
And in fact, in the substitute bill, even PWDs and walang exemption yun, no? Walang exemption. I think not only because it's duty, but we think that it is a way to curb corruption, no? Because when exemptions are allowed, that's where monetary transactions tend to be a tempting option. No? So if you develop a program that has no exemption, regardless of the color of your hair, whether you are PWD or walang exemption yan, walang corruption doon.
Tama.
Thank you very much. Papahabol tayo ng isa pang interview, please. In the future.
Yes, Jarius. Yes, Marisa. You take care. You guys take care.
You too. Thank you very much for sharing your insights. University of the Philippines Vanguard Inc. National Commandant Guido Alfredo Delgado.
At ngayon, balikan natin ang programang Sapol ni Jarius Bondoc.
Pasok pa natin lahat ng mga ads natin. Naku, patay tayo pag hindi napasok ng ads. Ayos ba lahat? Winner?
Hindi. Absent si Winner ngayon.
As usual?
Teka, baka masira naman record niya sa...
Nakikinig nga pa naman si Boss Edgard ngayon. Sir,
Look at to.
Sir, look at to.
Sabi ni Joe Art Mandagit Tones. Ay, bumabati siya ng good morning. Good morning, then, Joe Art. Zoraida. Good morning din, Zoraida.
Yes.
Si Randy Artiaga Santisas. Good morning po, Ma'am Marisa and Sir Jarius. Pa-shout out po.
Oh, shout out sila.
Si Roberto Tapia is greeting us a good morning and he's watching from Malabon.
Hi, good morning. Morning, Roberto.
Fortunato Payumo. Good morning, Sapol. Ganon din sa'yo, Fortunato. Roda Martinez Napasya. Sa mga Chinese, asukal ang pinaka-vetting nila.
Oh, yung pinaka-betsin.
Ayun.
Tama si Roda.
Si Reynold De Castro, have a beautiful and bountiful morning.
Then rain.
Si Anthony Andres. Good morning, Miss Marisa and Jarius, listening from Cleveland, Ohio.
Wow, Anthony. Huh?
I would like to ask if Mr. Remulla, the Justice Secretary or lawyering for Marcos family? Thank you.
Justice Secretary, si Jesus Remulla, no? Yung Boeing? Bakit? Nag-lawyer?
May kwento yata. I-text mo sa amin ang kwento mo, Anthony, ha?
Oo.
Next time.
Discuss natin kung may oras tayo rito. Next week.
Brad Ali, matatandaan ko po dati na may programa kayo sa DZRH noon. Kasama mo si Malu Mangahas. Tanong ni Brad Ali. Ang program mo dati, kasama mo si sa TV Louis Beltran.
Ako?
DZRH TV? Tapos?
Baka naging guest. Ako.
Okay. Ramon Abadillo, good morning, Sapol. Happy weekend. Watching IZ TV Channel 23 from Santa Rosa City, Laguna.
Thank you.
Okay. So we should add that sa TV Channel 23. Arnel Roma Santa, good morning there, Sir Jarius and Miss Marisa. Sapol night again. Have a blessed weekend.
Nasaan si Arnel?
Si Arnel nasa Canada eh.
Toronto.
Tama. Si Henrico Manansala Jr., good morning, DWIZ, watching from Cainta, Rizal. Si Miles Away is also greeting us, good morning. Sabi ni Paul Placido, good morning. Pag high school po, CAT/PMT, ang ROTC po sa college.
Oo, pero yung CAT tsaka PMT baka hindi na maging applicable preparatory military training. Ewan ko, depende. Pero kung preparatory, maari pa rin sa grades 11 and 12 siguro. Preparatory lang, pero hindi yung actual military recruitment. Kasi itong ROTC, gagawin kang reserve officer. I-issuehan ka ng serial number tsaka rango. Tsaka i-assign ka sa isang platoon o squad, platoon, company, ganyan, sa reserves.
Okay. Sabi ni RG Chell, sana, sir, pag-aralan po nila ang mga CPR ng mga high schools, elementary, high school, each house po tayong mga Pinoy.
Tama, CPR. Pero yan, dapat ituro pa lang sa elementary at high school. Huwag na natin hintayin mag-ROTC pa. Ito yung tinatawag na
First aid.
First aid, lahat ng
cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
Hindi lang CPR dapat marami pang ibang mga first aid lessons dapat matutunan. In fact, kasama din dapat yan sa mga fire drill tsaka mga earthquake drills.
Tama.
Bata pa, tinuturo na dapat yan. Kasama yan sa yung pagtuturo tungkol sa yung kalinisan ng katawan, di ba?
Hygiene, okay. Galing kay Derek Mateo, 80s third year high school, COCC, fourth year high school, CAT, Citizen Army Training.
Correct, oo.
Sabi ni Elias Casano, president siya ng magsaysay utilization, sorry, I don't get the PRES, magsaysay utilization of ROTC cadets for electoral duties. Tumpak po kayo, Sir Jarius. Anong batch po ninyo sa UP, sir?
Ay, secret!
Oy, vain. Hi, Sir Jarius.
Basta ang masasabi ko lang, ang mga kasabay ko nun sa ROTC ay sila Martinelli tsaka si Bertinelli. Kung maaalala mo sila, kung nag-ROTC ka sa UP Diliman. Masasaya silang kasama. Sila yung dalawang kasama sa obstacle course dun sa Fort Bonifacio na kung ano-ano yung mga nilulundag doon, tapos magbabaging ka, tapos tusuot ka pa sa tunnel. Paglabas mo rin sa dulo, naku, ang hirap-hirap noon, talagang papawisan ka, maghihirap kang gagapang ka, may putik, may punong-puno ng buhangin yung mukha mo, ganyan-ganyan. Pagdating sa dulo, may nakasulat doon na this course separates the men from the boys. Sabing ganon. Pagkalabas ni Martinelli tsaka ni Bertinelli, pagkita nila, ay, men na tayo, balik, sabi ko. So, ang saya-saya namin noon dahil kasama namin silang dalawa noon.
Sabi ni Mrs. De Leon ng Caloocan, laking ambag sa lipunan niyang panukala ni Teves. Dapat applicable ata yung ghosting na yan, hindi lang sa mga couples or couples to be. Matagal na gino-ghosting ng gobyerno ang mga Pilipino.
Tsaka yung ghosting din, yung mga dating tumataya siguro sa isabong ngayon, ayaw na.
Oo. Panay ang defense daw ni Secretary Carlos sa mga pro-China tao niya at playing safe siya kung bakit yun ang mga napili niyang mga tao. Okay. Sabi ni Oka ng Infanta, hi Sir Jarius, Miss Marisa, I second the motion to Sec Carlos for considering your analysis excellent and for saluting you. At sabi naman ni Evangeline, that was a good interview, Jarius. Please keep exposing dubious movements in her turf and all agencies of government.
Maraming.
Okay, please stay critical and vigilant and put it out in the open, the issues that matter to our country. Okay, tayo magpapasalamat na. Thank you for keeping us company this past 2 hours overtime. Thank you very much sa ating technical support kay Jeric Barreto, kay Communication Assistants, Maze Alinyo Dayon and Joanne Punay, Sokmed Joanna Luna, writers Rashid Locsin, Hannah Oledan, Gilbert Perdes. Salamat sa ating mga resource persons and sponsors. This is Miss Marisa. Samahan niyo kami ulit next week.
Okay. Ito po si Jarius Bondoc. Kung nagpapaalala, magdadasal tayo parate at isama natin sa dasal natin ang mga kasunod ko kagad natin. Sina
Jerry Flores at Sally Ortega Bueno sa
Mr. Taxman.
Sumainyo ang Sapul ni Jarius Bondoc hanggang sa susunod na Sabado. Muling abangan sina Miss Marisa at ang inyong batikang kolumnista at iskupero, Mr. Jarius Bondoc sa programang Sapul ni Jarius Bondoc.